Hello, I'm Nabila Nurunnisa Frendra. Today I would like to present our research entitled The Effectiveness of Hard News and Soft News Headline in French Media with Myrna Laksman-Huntley as corresponding author. The implementation of media in a country is influenced by its culture. For example, in French, the media is differentiated by their political position. So in general, there are right media and left media. The development of technology these days has brought a shift in news consumption from print media to online media. However, the shift doesn't change readers' behavior in looking for news categories that are dominated by hard news. Hard and soft news are the categories of news in the field of journalism. Reinnemann has created groupings to categorize news based on topic dimension, focus dimension, and style dimension. An example of hard news headline can be seen through the details in this headline. From the news content, it is known that the topic dimension fulfilled by the mention of Brentong Tarong and Bruno Dels as community actors. Moreover, there are also mentions of Director of the Financial Intelligence Department as the decision-making authority and dissolution as a plan to be realized. The fulfillment of the mention of community actors, decision-making authorities, and plans indicates the high relevance of politics in the news. So based on the dimension of news topics, it is a hard news. The hard news category is also strengthened through the focus dimension in the form of public views and the style dimension in the form of the use of neutral diction. According to Reinnemann, the use of public opinion and neutral diction in a news is a feature of hard news. Thus, this news is characterized as hard news category. In a news, the headline is an essential element due to the dependence on the reading of the whole news by the reader. According to Dor and Gattani, news headlines can have various functions such as the main function, function in the micro and macro scope. Micro function consists of summarizing the content of the news, highlight certain part, attract readers by using interesting words or phrases, and choose a part of the title to attract readers. Meanwhile, macro function consists of informative, that means describe what will be discussed in the news, indicative that highlight what is happening in the news, and engaging the aim to attract readers. These functions describe the goals of the headline strategy in the news to be achieved by the newswriter or the media that publish it. The function that wants to be achieved can be obtained by paying attention to the syntactic structure of the headline. Querler divides words into 9 word classes. From the word class, the phrase can be identified by determining the core or what we can call as epithet. Each function of phrase can be identified and shows the pattern and the purpose of the title. Several studies about news category, news headlines, and syntactic studies have been done. Even though the comparison of right media and left media has been studied by Dwi Putri and Laksman-Huntley, the comparison of hard news and soft news in the two media has never been done. Thus, the study will fill the gap by uncovering the differences between hard and soft news in the right and left media through the title strategy.
As the context of the research, the dissolution of the Génération Identitaire, or GI, is one of the topics that become the focus in French media in early 2021. GI is a right-wing political movement that formed in 2012 with the characteristic of the anti-immigrant movement. On Saturday, February 13, Gerald Darmanin, as Interior Minister, announced the dissolution of the movement as the result of anti-immigrant operation in Pyrenees. They blockade the borderline so the immigrant can enter France. Several GIs activists then demonstrate in front of l'Élysée to counter Darmanin's decision. The demonstration ended in chaos due to the confrontation with the anti-fascist demonstration. GI-related research has been studied. The studies are about the characteristics and practices of the movement since its establishment. Therefore, it is important to study how syntactic aspects play a role in the hard news and soft news headline strategies related to the issue of Génération Identitaire in the French media. And here is the method that used in this research. According to Arifin and Tasai, effectiveness can be proven by structural compatibility in a phrase. It is supported by a pattern found in the form of simple phrase in the headline of Liberation as left media and Le Figaro as right media. Furthermore, in every phrase also consists the same phrase function that is subject, main verb, and core sentences, or what we call as pivot, object complement, and circumstantial complement. Those functions are indicated as primary function. We can take a look at a headline published in Libération. We can see Brentong Tarong as subject, et as pivot, Membre bienfaiteur de Génération Identitaire as subject as object complement. In this case, even though there aren't circumstantial complement like most hard news title, but there are attributes of the subject as a part of essential primary function which provide the context of the subject to the reader. This form is used because essential primary function have the characteristic of not changing the structure, so it can increase the relevance of the news while maintaining effectiveness in the sentence. If we look carefully, the syntax structure picturizes important information in a news. For example, in this headline, the reader will know Brentong Tarong as the subject of the news, what he did, and the object of the news. Link to the function of news title according to Dor and Gattani. In general, hard news title try to highlight the informative function by summarizing the news content. The syntactic structure in soft news is different from hard news because soft news characteristic is on its low level of public relevance. This causes certain strategies to be used in soft news title through the use of its syntactic structure to attract readers. From a total of 13 soft news titles in the right and left media, there are 5 titles in the form of a collection of phrases. The other 7 titles are simple phrase and compound sentence, which in each title are marked with a subject at the beginning of the title as an affirmation of the theme. In addition, one title was found with a different form in the form of the use of the two pivot, which indicated the existence of 2 sentences in one title. For example, in a headline of news that was published in Le Figaro, alliteration found to shorten the headline. This happened to the word dessous. The placement in the beginning before the colon indicated that the phrase is the topic of the news. From that feature, it can be concluded that the original form from the phrase before the colon is a passive phrase. So it should be Génération Identitaire a été dissous. Even though grammatically this form is incorrect, but the meaning is still understandable, and shortened form is easier to read. In the soft news headline, the indicative function shown by highlighting what will be discussed in the news and attracting the readers. In coverage, differences are found between right and left media. In Le Figaro, there is tendency to report in the soft news category with a total of 8 news out of a total 12 news regarding the GI. GI as the right ideology movement has the same ideology as Le Figaro. Therefore, there is a strategy to maintain the image of political groups. In soft news, there are patterns shown that are the opinion of an expert with the right ideology. This pattern doesn't just reflect the expert's opinion, but also represent the media's view of the phenomenon. Meanwhile, the hard news of Le Figaro still suits hard news characteristic, which is the actuality. However, the information provided on hard news tends to highlight the GI movement. Those ways of reporting are the defense form of the existence of the movement. As an opposite media, Liberation tends to balance news category with 6 hard news and 5 soft news. The topics are varied but still focus on the disbandment of the movement. For example, one title discusses the comparison of GI with the anti-fascist movement. In another title discusses the early history of GI. And in another title gives judgment on the disbandment of the movement, which is considered as a punishment for the GI. Nevertheless, Le Figaro, like Le Figaro, news expert opinion remains in the Liberation media. That is only found one. The syntactic structure in a sentence is the basis for its effectiveness. In line with research conducted by Dwi Putra and Laksman-Huntley, no differences were found between titles from right media and left media. In both media, the title pattern followed journalistic characteristics according to the hard news and soft news categories. In this case, the syntactic aspect plays a role in achieving the goal of the headline. The effectiveness seen in the hard news headline by using simple phrase consisting of primary function in the form of subject, pivot, object complement, and circumstantial complement. Meanwhile, in the soft news headline is ineffective to highlight the strategy used. The syntactic structure used varies adapt to the intended function, such as a collection of phrases or the use of the 2 sentences marked by the presence of 2 pivot. Although ideology did not play a role in the headline writing, ideology proved to be the basis for the different ways of reporting in the right and left media. This is known through the difference in the number of hard news and soft news from each media.